In this section, I'm going to talk about the symptoms and diagnosis of agoraphobia. A reminder that, like panic disorder, agoraphobia is diagnosed with a clinical interview by a trained medical or mental health professional. Agoraphobia is a disorder that is characterized by intense fear or anxiety about being in two or more types of situations for at least 6 months or longer. Let's review what these situations are before I go over the rest of the diagnosis. The first situation is feeling fear or anxiety when using public transportation, such as using buses or trains. The next situation is feeling fear or anxiety of being in open spaces, such as parks or large parking lots. Another situation is feeling fear or anxiety of being in enclosed places, such as theaters or stores. Another situation is feeling fear or anxiety being in a crowd or standing in line. If you fear crowds, you might worry that you can't get help in the event of a panic attack. And the last feared situation is being outside of the home alone, which can lead to debilitating agoraphobia. Now let's talk more about other parts of the diagnosis. You might avoid or fear these situations because you think you won't be able to escape or get help if you develop panic-like, debilitating, or embarrassing symptoms. These situations almost always cause fear or anxiety. It's not just once in a while or some of the time. You might actively avoid the feared situations, need someone to accompany you when you're in them, or you endure the situations with extreme anxiety or fear. The fear you experience must be out of proportion with any actual danger involved in approaching these situations. Let's discuss an example. Suppose someone avoids taking the bus because they worry about having a panic attack on the bus, of not being able to escape and then dying. Although someone could actually have a panic attack on the bus and not be able to escape immediately, they almost definitely won't die from a panic attack, even though it really feels like they might at the time. The panic attack will always end, whether they stay on the bus or not, so their fear is out of proportion to the actual danger of the situation. Next, the fear or avoidance must cause significant distress or cause impairment in social, work, school, or other important areas of functioning. What do we mean by impairment? Let's go back to our bus example. If someone fears riding on a bus, but they don't need to use public transportation, this fear is probably not impairing. However, if they do need to use public transportation and start to miss school or work because of their fear, this would qualify as impairment. Next, if the fear and anxiety are due to concerns related to a medical condition, such as Parkinson's or irritable bowel syndrome, the anxiety and avoidance must be clearly excessive to be considered agoraphobia. Finally, to receive a diagnosis of agoraphobia, the diagnosing clinician must make sure that the symptoms are not better explained by another mental health diagnosis. For example, if you only avoid social situations, social anxiety disorder might be diagnosed. If you avoid places that remind you of a traumatic event, post-traumatic stress disorder might be diagnosed. Other disorders associated with avoidance, such as major depression, specific phobias, and separation anxiety disorder, might be diagnosed instead of agoraphobia if the symptoms are better explained by those disorders. I hope this gives you a good overview of the diagnosis and symptoms of agoraphobia. Join me next time as I discuss the prevalence, onset, and course of panic disorder and agoraphobia.